Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is you're watching me. Hi, how are you doing? This is Amanda Ellis and it's nice to be back with you. And yeah, it does feel like being back with you because the last couple of weeks have been probably one of the most intense transformations that I feel that I've gone through personally in a number of years. And I wanted to come back online today to do a video, and I thought, okay, well, what am I going to talk about? And I thought, well, what might help people is just to explain a little bit of the process that I've been going through, and I feel that I'm out the other side of now, because I feel it's very linked into the portals that we've been going through in 2018. In particular, it's all started really at the 1111 portal in particular. And I know it sounds maybe a little bit strange, but we know that time isn't linear. And I personally feel as though I've already gone through the solstice energy. Doesn't mean that I still won't pick up other pieces on the actual solstice day itself, and indeed the Christmas energies and New Year. It's almost as though I'm into the New Year energy, and it feels okay. That's the first thing to say. It's all good. But I feel as though that's happened to me. It's almost like it's been accelerated a little bit, so I can backtrack a little bit and talk about the process, because we all do these things at different times. It's not a case of winning a race. It's not a case of being first or being last. It's just to do with vibration and readiness. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the order in which you do things. So I think this video is going to go along the lines of, there's a few truths that I'd like to share, and a bit of experience I'd like to share as well. We'll pull some cards. I'm not going to do a tarot reading or anything like that. I actually feel pulled to look at some sacred geometry today and some affirmations. So we're just going to see how we go. But for me, this whole process started probably maybe 6 weeks ago, something like that, before December kicked in anyway. I think it was towards the end of November. And Metatron's saying, call it the questioning. So there is a phase that we go through which is linked into now, because of course this can apply to other times. You might be watching this in the future. You might be watching this in 2 years' time and the message will still stand. But I'm talking about a very particular pathway and process and journey that is available now. And some of us have walked it, some of us are still in the process of walking it, and some of us haven't even started. So the first part of this journey, Metatron is calling the questioning. And for the questioning to arrive, you have to be blessed. It doesn't feel like blessings at the time, but you have to be blessed with either being called to account for something, or challenged on something, potentially betrayed on something. It's an energy that comes in to wobble you, okay? It wobbles you, and it makes you start to question who you are, what the hell you're doing, why you're doing it, is it even worth it? And this can apply to anybody's life. This isn't just applicable to me and what I've been through. And at the time that the challenges come in, or the people that let you down come in, or the abuse or criticism that you get comes in, or just unpleasantness, it's a very vulnerable place to be, because you have to go deep within and search for your truth. You can't really ever search for anybody else's truth, because that's their bag, as it were. you can only ever really search for your own. Who am I? You know, they're the big questions. Who am I? Where am I going? And what is it that I stand for? As well as, it's almost as though what Metatron says, it's almost like taking an inventory of self. This is where I am. This is how I've behaved. Am I comfortable with that? Am I not? And you might come up with a whole string of positives where you give yourself ticks. And you may also find that there have been certain areas where you've lacked something. Whatever that is, it's going to be different for every single person. Something you could have done a bit better. Maybe you haven't been there enough for certain people. Maybe your attention and your focus has been too much on something else at the expense of something which actually was more important in the first place. So it's a real sifting through and evaluation of who you are, what you're doing, how you're doing it. And it produces rich material that the wise person takes, looks at, heals, integrates, processes, maybe just sits with. But the most important thing is that it's acknowledged, even if you don't necessarily have all the answers in terms of, well, okay, this is out of balance in my life, or this isn't quite right, or I've let this person down, or whatever. And I'm not even sure how to remedy that yet. But all I do know is that I've noticed the imbalance. I've noticed the thing that's gone wrong or awry. And I'm just going to sit with that and acknowledge it. I'm going to pull in my guides as well as my own higher self and just ask for guidance on this. A pearl of wisdom actually that came in last few days from my brother, and we were chatting and I was talking about changes that I want to make in my life, particularly linked into business, to be perfectly honest. And he said, Amanda, you don't even have to make the decision now. You don't have to make the decision next month. You don't even have to make the decision next year. You can give yourself all the time in the world to arrive at the answer. And that, being given space to stand back from a problem, whatever the problem is in your life or my life, and realise that, okay, it's acknowledged, there's a new course or a new path that needs to be followed, but I'm not quite sure yet what it is. But it will come, but I'm not going to put pressure on myself. Because the phase of the questioning comes with feelings of overwhelm. And actually, that feeling of being overwhelmed is a very important aspect of it. Because if you're somebody like me, you can jog on quite happily for years, carrying more and more, until there comes a point where you think, actually, this is really getting a bit heavy now. Whatever that is, whatever that means, whatever you've been carrying. So the feeling of overwhelm is actually almost a gift, because it's the only way that your body, mind and spirit can actually get your attention and say, okay, so when are you going to stop? When are you going to reassess? When are you going to reevaluate? When are you going to rebalance? So it's really important in that process of questioning and overwhelm that goes with it to see it not as the universe conspiring against you and throwing just loads of mud pies in your face. Because let me tell you, it absolutely does feel like that. at lower self level, it's very easy to go into that. But at higher self level, it's like, okay, I get it. This is almost the stage that comes in before the tower energy, where the universe takes it out of your hands and brings something in that will stop you in your tracks. So this process of questioning, feeling a bit overwhelmed, is a blessing in disguise. Do you know, I went onto Facebook this morning, and there's a few people that had, you know, tried to contact me, and there's a lot of people that are going through this. I know there is. And there's one person in particular who's actually a friend of mine, and it's almost as though there's just one thing after another happening, one thing after another, to the point where I don't know how to answer anymore. But the point is that overwhelm that is around this person, or maybe you that is watching, is there to serve you, not to harm you. It's trying to get you to wake up. And it's trying to get you to wake up so you can step into the new. So this whole questioning phase is vital before you truly are able to step into what you really want for next year. Because if we go to the other end of the scale, after the questioning phase, there are other stages, and I'll talk you through them. But the end goal is that you're in 2019 and we will be in a number 3 numerological year. This is all about expansion and stepping up. But it's about stepping up into what you really want. How do you know what the hell you want if you haven't been forced to question and look at the scenery and the environment of your life at the moment? Okay? So we've got the questioning phase. The next stage that I noticed was, I'm going to call it out for what it probably was, depression. Now, I'm not minimising depression, because I know depression isn't something that just comes in necessarily in a week and then it's gone. I come from a whole family who have had depression. I've had depression myself. I know what I'm talking about. What I noticed within myself was that, tied into the phase of questioning and overwhelm, I could easily have gone into a depressive episode if I hadn't stepped back and allowed myself the healing and the space that I required. And it was actually very interesting to observe it, because in the past, having completely fallen off the cliff and gone into the black pit of despair, and knowing it's still possible to do that if I chose. Some of you might pick me up with that word chose, but hear me out. What I observed this time was that, teetering on the brink of the cliff, I was able to backtrack and get myself to a place where I didn't have to dive down. It wasn't necessary. I could pull it back. Now, some of you watching this may already be in depression, maybe long-term depression. And I'm just bringing up the whole subject of depression because if you think about it this way, if Spirit is asking you to question maybe a lot of what you've been doing and how you've been operating, that can trigger the ego self and the shadow, and it can create a lot of fear, because the body likes what it likes. It likes to keep doing what it knows how to do. It doesn't necessarily want to step out into different things, even if those things long term might be better for it. It likes to just stay in its safe confines, even if those safe confines don't feel particularly comfortable anymore. And so the depressive stage, and this can last from anything for a couple of hours to a couple of weeks to a couple of months. But it's almost as I want to say, if you're watching my channel, we're going to help you with that, because I believe in spiritual assistance and aid. I believe in what I believe. I never have lost my passion for the tools that I use, the colours, sacred geometry, Metatron, the angels. And the trick is to call for help almost before you really need it. Does that make sense? To recognise signs within yourself that maybe you're starting to feel a little bit low. I remember years ago going to see a doctor, and she said to me, the truth is with depression that a much better word for it sometimes would actually be depletion. Depletion, okay? Depletion and depression go together. So if you're feeling overwhelmed and you've got all these questions about what am I doing, particularly going into a new year, depletion, depression can follow quite closely behind, unless you take the steps, and whatever the steps are for you are going to be different, to balance yourself back up, okay? Now I could do a whole video here on depression, and I don't actually want to. I might do that another day, so I'm sure there's a need for it, particularly linked into winter months here. I mean, we've had days and days of rain. It's actually a lovely sunny day, but that doesn't do much for your mood either. But I'm just mentioning it here because it seems to be part of this pathway that we're on. Questioning, overwhelm, feeling depleted as a result of that overwhelm, which if you're not careful can send you into a depressive episode. I didn't go into that because I recognised the signs within myself, and I stepped back in time and I pulled in Metatron, I pulled in Jophiel, actually, Archangel Jophiel, who comes in on the golden ray. And I slept and I baked and I dusted, okay? And I put myself first. Hugely important to put yourself first. Let's move on then to another part of the path. Well, I suppose the third part of the path, I'm going to call it, Metatron is calling it refinding your tools. Just writing these down. Refinding your tools. What works and what doesn't. What works and what doesn't. Refinding your tools would also encompass friends, old friends, people that know you very, very well, but also any tool that helps you. And right now, we're at a stage in evolution where there is a lot of questioning of these tools, particularly online. I've talked about this. The likes of Doreen saying you can't use this, you can't use that, that's of the devil, that's of darkness. What works for you? Forget what other people are saying. What works for you? What makes you feel whole? What makes you feel happy? Who are the people that sustain you? Who are the people that build you up? And who are the people whose energy just brings you down? And I would include on that online energies as well. Part of the process for me was also about lessening the noise that's out there. It's one of the reasons I came off Facebook for a while. There's so much noise. It's so hard to go on to any social media account and just be greeted by what you want to see. You're bombarded with everybody else's energy and noise, and a lot of it isn't helpful. And when you just take a step back from it, it's like, I don't need any of that. What do I need? I need my own higher self. I need my connection to the divine. And I need the tools that work for me. It will always be colour for me. And as I've said, sacred geometry, Metatron is always my fall guy. The other archangels are pretty awesome too. And Christ. At this point, talking about tools, let's pull a card. Let's pull a sacred geometry card. And let's see which one we get, shall we? I'm using the Francine Hart card. Okay, we've got the Tetrahedron that's just flown out of the pack. Tetrahedron. So the Tetrahedron is the, well, it's that, okay? It's the pyramid shape. And here, oh, excuse me, I can't speak. Here we've got an upward pointing tetrahedron, which the upward pointing tetrahedron is pointing upward. It's pointing up to Father God, source energy. It's going up for answers, okay? It's linking into heaven, source, light. And it's saying, please. It's also higher perspective I'm hearing as well, okay? Let's read, though, the message that goes with card number 13. Card number 13, rebirth. What does Francine say? It says, the tetrahedron is one of the platonic solids. It's the simplest of the platonic solids, with 4 equal triangular faces. It speaks to the male side of your nature. This is the place of action. This is the fire of ambition and the understanding that it will take to bring ideas and projects to fruition. Yeah, so she's reminding us of the masculine aspect of it and also about action. I'm also going to read this point. It says, if you are already actively engaged in this process, the card affirms your decision to act and supports the focus and passion that directs you upon the path. Simply remember to listen to your inner guidance and ensure that this action is not mere smoke and flames, but intentional movement towards your highest good. The tetrahedron, I can't speak. The tetrahedron is also linked into the solar plexus, going back within to find your own power. And yeah, that's absolutely, let's call this another stage. Refinding your tools, whatever they may be. Number 5, let's just say it what it is. It's refinding your power. What I had discovered, and I hadn't even realised it was happening, was how much of my power I had given away to other people, and a lot of the time without actually them even asking. My lesson, completely understand that, but I absolutely know that I'm not the only person out there that this has happened to. I guarantee that a lot of you watching this video, you will have also fallen into the same trap, because it's very easy to fall into the trap. It's about number 5, stage 5, is about claiming back your power. That might well be about cutting cords to people that have lowered your energy in some way, or you just don't feel good around them, okay? But it's also about, I only have a finite number of energy in any one day. There are only so many hours in one day. How am I going to use those hours productively that are going to help sustain me, help me do my job to the best of my ability? And that might be just being a father or a mother. It can also be the job that you do, be that whatever it is, working in a shop, being a waitress, being the CEO of a bank, it doesn't matter. We only have a limited amount of hours per day. Are you using them effectively? If you're not, And I'm just seeing, because I saw it within myself, all these strands of energy just going out to other people, potential things that I might do, nice things that I might want to do, but you can't do it all. You can't do it all. So it's like, bring it back. Bring it back. Think of the tetrahedron. Within this tetrahedron, which is within my solar plexus, my power center, what's going to be the things that are most important? Refinding your power. Let's put a card on that. Refinding your power. I've got a deck of cards here. I'll put the decks up in the description box below. This was gifted to me much earlier on in the year. I don't know whether you're still watching my channel actually, but it was created by somebody, and it's called the Eons of God Oracle deck. Hasn't got a name on it. And it's got like just words, and I'm just going to pull a couple. Let's just see what words we get. So thinking about, let's just broaden it. Everything I've mentioned so far about this process, let's ask for some guidance. Light's a bit dark. Not sure as much I can do about that. Oh, that's a bit better. You see me now? Okay. Let's have a few words from Spirit. Let's just have two. I've got three. These are the three I would like to show you. Oh, sorry, the light. Let me just see if I can do anything about this. That's a bit better. Let's put it that way. Oh, you can see me now. Look, I'm in the light. I'm in the light, guys. And isn't that funny? Because the card that I've just pulled... Look at that, light. Light. But I tell you what, in all seriousness, look at how dark it is around that light. Look at how dark it is around the light. Dark sky, but the light is still shining. Idea. Look at how bright that idea bulb, the light bulb is. The idea has come, but look at how dark it is before the idea comes. Look at how dark it is around the light. Another card that helps is the card of nature, the stag. I mean, stags at the end of the day, that beautiful male energy of the stag, they lose their antlers, don't they? They have to shed. They have to shed. They understand the cycles of nature. Let's just put those three cards to one side. I think, to be honest, they're just confirming. Yeah. Oh, why it keeps going out of focus? Okay, I know what he's doing. He wants me to talk about focus. All right, let me just write the word focus down. Is it going? No, it's not going again. Stop it. Can you see me? Yeah, you can. Focus. I got distracted there. Yeah, nature, we know nature is a great healer. That's a given. So yeah, nature is a great healer. This is really what, these two cards almost sum up everything I've just been saying. The questioning phase, the feeling of overwhelmed, depletion, stroke depression, trying to find your tools, trying to reclaim your power. And it's all about the big bright light, the idea that wants to come in. Okay. Right, number 6, I want to talk about focus. Did I talk about focus in my last video? I think I did, didn't I? Well, it's back again, because absolutely the focus, the energy of focus, the energy of prioritization comes into all of this as well. What do you want to be focusing on what do you want to be focusing on next year, okay? And what do you want to be letting go of? Hugely, hugely part of the path. Nobody can answer that apart from yourself. Nobody. So again, it's about stop going outside for the answers, come back within. Find your power, reclaim it, ask yourself, question, go deep, come back up for air, and start to arrive at what is going to work for you next year. I feel I'd quite like to bring in Archangel Uriel's energy at this point. Those of you that don't know, looks a bit like the colour of my hair today, doesn't it? Had it done yesterday. It's all red. Okay, Archangel Uriel. See what Uriel has to say. I've said this multiple times before. I'm always shown the analogy of the canary going down the mine with Uriel, because he's like the scout. He's like the head scout that goes down to make sure everything's safe. He's saying we no longer do that in 2018 going into 19. You have to go down yourself, and you have, this is all symbolic of course, it's about going into uncharted territory, which a mine would be. That's what the canary used to do. It used to go down to make sure it was safe. And if it came back alive, all well and good. If it didn't, obviously the miners didn't go down. Those days are gone, Uriel is saying. He's saying, I will go down with you. I will go with you into uncharted territory. But he's saying, you have the ability yourself to be able to sense danger, to be able to suss out what is good and what is not good, who is of the right vibration and who isn't, what is right for you and what isn't. And he's saying it's almost like you go down yourself and see. It's strange. It's almost like in past lives, many of us particularly had past lives in Egypt. And there used to be initiations that you would have to go through. And some of you might be able to remember these initiations. And they were always about trust and faith. So there was one which links into the sarcophagus. So you were placed into a sarcophagus, and, you know, there was, you know, the lid went on, and it was as though, did you trust that the person was going to come back and free you, all that type of stuff. We don't need to go back into that. But the point is, this is a bit like, it feels a bit like initiation, but this time, the only person that could actually betray yourself is you, okay? It's not about anybody else. And it's also not setting you up to die or to fail, you know? This is about, what do we teach on this ascension path? It's all about our senses being refined the whole time. Being able to hear more, being able to see deeper, wider, higher, being able to taste different sensations, being able to feel different things, being able to see through things more, being able to suss out what is right and what is wrong. A huge part of the path at the moment, it's all about discernment, discerning. How do you learn that skill? By using it, by symbolically going down the mine or into uncharted territory and literally sniffing out what's good, what's not good, what feels right, what doesn't feel right. And then not running to somebody else and saying, is this okay? No, back to you. Reclaim your power. Does it feel right for you? Uriel will be with you there as well. But it's like, it's really interesting. And this has changed. This has changed since the summer. I did Archangel workshops in the summer. And then when I tuned into the Uriel energy, he would have been walking in front of you. He would have been walking in front of you, just making sure it's all okay before you then take the next steps. No, he's walking beside you. Can you feel the shift? Can you just, for one moment, appreciate, and I'm appreciating it as well, how big a shift that is? That is enormous. The fact that he is walking beside us, literally, you know, together, you are, is it okay? Is it not okay? Sensing, taking steps. Not like a little child behind this higher ascended energy, which is saying, it's okay, yeah, I've sorted that for you, you can come now. No, because we've reached a level in our ascension journey. I've always taught it's about none of the angels, none of the ascended beings, none of them want us to be bowing down and worshipping them. Even Christ, when he comes in, is a very, very humble energy, very humble. Wants you to look him in the eye, walk with him. So that is huge. That is huge. So they're still guides. They're still guides, but they're guides that want to walk with you, not in front of you. So you're just following in their shadow. So the part number 7, interesting, it's 7 steps. Number 7 is stepping into the uncharted territory. You might think that you did that when you went through the 1111 gateway. Well, we did in a way. We stepped through the gateway, but we didn't take many steps through it. So what's basically happened is since 1111, we're through the gateway, we're into this new land. We've gone through, let's just paraphrase, we've gone through a questioning phase where it's really been thrown at us. What is it that you do? What do you want? All the rest of it. That, for some of us, has led to feeling very depleted or tired, maybe even spaced out with it all, not knowing whether I'm coming or going, what's real, what isn't real anymore. You know, I've left behind the old land, I've walked through the 1111 gateway. I'm here now, what works in this new place? Who am I? Literally, it's who am I? For some people, not everybody, that's led to a little bit of a dip in mood, or for others, maybe a little bit of a slide into depression, but it can be, you can be pulled back from that, call in jovial, call in the golden yellow rays, get out into nature. Step 3, refine your tools. How many times, and I really include myself in this, you know, I'm not being all preachy here, because I include myself in this. How many times do we forget our tools? And it's usually when we actually feel really bad as well. I've noticed that with myself. Oh, I feel really low and depressed and I can't cope. And it's like, well, when did you last do any meditation, Amanda? When did you last use one of your sprays, even though you've got about 50 sitting behind you? You know, it's like Metatron's like, God, come on, girl. So questioning, depletion, overwhelm, sad mood blip, depression blip, but pulling it back, refinding your tools, reclaiming your power. Number 6, focus. 7, we're into the uncharted territory. I'll write these steps down in the description box. Let's look at uncharted territory now. Let's pull a card for uncharted territory. Let's have a sacred geometry card. It's funny actually, before I even do that, I've had a massive clear out in my room a few days ago. That was part of the process as well. I've actually got rid of some of the old oils that I had. Not my own oils, other people's oils. It's like, I don't need all these oils anymore. You know, why have I got all this stuff? You know, get rid of the stuff. I've got rid of some crystals. I'm going to get rid of some cards. I'm going to get rid of some books. So I'm left with just what I really love. And funnily enough, this crystal is sitting in front of me. It's literally sitting on my book as I write. It's a brand new crystal. I got gifted this quite recently. But isn't it, it's a rose quartz. But do you know what that reminds me of? It doesn't remind me of the cross. It reminds me of a compass. Okay? North, south, east or west, which way will we go? We're in this uncharted territory. I've done my prep. I've packed my bag. I know who is with me on this new journey. I know who isn't. I've cut cords from those that I don't want to be here. I've now just got this compass in my hand. But this isn't any old compass. This is a rose quartz compass. And I tell you what's the shape in the middle of it? You see that? Tetrahedron. It's the tetrahedron. Look at that. How perfect is that? Okay. So I have my compass. Actually, it doesn't matter in which direction I go. I'm just going to follow what feels right to me. There's probably something to be explored in all of them. But as long as I remain in my power, tetrahedron, solar plexus, As long as I do that, I shall be all right. Right, let's just have one other card though. Oh, okay, well that one just flew out, so let's just take that one. Yeah, perfect. Invitation. It's the card of the invitation. You have been invited to something. You have been invited to something by somebody. You have been invited to something by somebody for some reason. You haven't been taken into this uncharted territory and gone through this mini sort of dark night of the soul type energy for no reason. You have been invited to what Metatron is calling the biggest party going, 2019. Now that does not mean that all of 2019 is just a complete riot and we can all just, you know, sit back and it's all going to be happy. No, there's going to be, of course there's going to be challenges in 2019. We haven't left behind the energy of duality. Absolutely not. We've still got our struggles and our challenges and all of that. We're not in utopia, but we have been invited to something here. We've been invited, he's saying, we've been invited to a date with ourselves. We've been invited to a date with ourselves. Do we like our own company? Are we comfortable in our own skin? Would we want to sit next to ourselves at a party? Let's put it that way. Would we be interested in what we had to say? If not, there's still some work to do, isn't there? But in this new landscape that you are in, everything has been provided for you. The whole energy of next year, as I say, there will be challenges, obviously, we know that, but it feels, I've used the word expansive before. Yes, it feels expansive, but it also feels very freeing, very freeing. Everything that I've taken you through here, this process that I've been on, that I'm sure a lot of you will also be resonating with, it's a process of freeing ourselves to really be able to do and live and be what we want. I had a little sort of lunch date with a few friends the other day, and it was really interesting because we were just talking about next year, and we just suddenly realised that we were all talking about doing something very creative in 2019. It really is a year of creativity that's coming up. And if you haven't found that spark of creativity within yourself, I feel as though, again, you're going to be invited to do that. Doesn't mean we're all going to become great artists and musicians or anything like that, but it does mean that, you know, if you've got a book inside of you, I mean, I've got a book inside of me that's been brewing for like 6 years and still hasn't been completed. Next year's the year it will get written. And that's not just me, okay? So it's as though, the other thing I'm hearing is that a lot of the experiences that we've been having over the last couple of years, particularly 2018, a lot of you are going to be documenting that, literally writing about it. I've got 2 people in my mind right now who have got such completely contrasting stories in completely different areas of life, but the book needs to be written about that. And that's going to take some time. It's going to require space. So it's going to require air. Those of you that follow my videos know why I'm smiling at that. I just talked about coming up for air. We're going to need air, we're going to need space to be able to be creative next year. And that is going to be, again, going back full circle, the questioning. That was one of the things, that was the first thing that I had to look at, how to free up space in my life so that I can actually do what I really want to do and what I actually came here to do. I want to write a lot next year. And I want to get a lot of new courses out, distance courses. And that means that I can't be going here, there, left, right and centre. You know, I just can't be doing everything. I can't be accepting everything, every offer that comes in. So it's consolidation to, in terms of what I do well and what I want to continue doing, but it's definitely about letting other stuff go so I can bring in the new, I can be creative, okay? Let's have one more card. Let's have one more sacred geometry card. Before I do that, I just want to go back to these two cards actually. I'm getting two other messages from these cards. All that the light requires, look at that light, lonely old light post and this dark old sky. You could say that's the world, to be honest, you know, darkness, awakening energy here. That blue is the awakening energy, but still a lot of darkness. What is required for this awakening to spread further is for one person just to come and stand underneath that light, okay, and be illuminated by it, and then to walk off in any of the directions, doesn't really matter, okay? So it really is a case of staying in the light, not getting distracted by the darkness. I talked about noise. There's a lot of noise on social media, and a lot of it is dark, you know, down the rabbit hole type stuff. Stay in the light, stay in the truth of that. You won't go wrong. The light bulb, the idea, it's only in this person's hands. Your idea is only in your hands. You either do something with that idea, that light bulb moment, or the light goes out, you know? It's just in your hands. It's been given to you. You with your unique skills and gifts and abilities to bring it into the material world. Why this my camera, I'm just going to move myself because I'm going a little bit to the left here. You probably can't even notice it. This is my perfectionist streak. Something else I need to let go of in 2019. Okay, right. Let's have one final card then. Actually, there's a couple of other things I want to say. Let's have one card here, finish off this section. Which other card, Metatron? That one. Oh, the Nonagon. Well, I'm going to have to look that up because I don't know what the Nonagon is. Card number 54. Nonagon. Now, you see, I love that instantly. I don't go into fear that, like, oh my God, I'm on video and I teach the Platonic solids and I haven't got a clue what a Nonagon is. No, I think bring it on. New information coming in. Let's learn together. Right, Nonagon. Look what it says. It's the completion card. Yeah, right. The Nonagon depicts 9-sided geometry coming from the greatest single digit number. It is a boundary. It represents perfection. Oh, I was just talking about perfection, wasn't I? It represents perfection, balance and order. It is ultimate extension, achievement and completion. This card represents the completion of a cycle in your life. Absolutely. That's what I've been saying all along. This is all about completion of a cycle, everything I've been talking about today. You have given energy and achieved much during this phase. Events and relationships have served to help you grow and define who you are, giving your life meaning and resonance. There is no need for sadness or regret because you have given your all and contributed your best. Now you stand at the gateway of something entirely new. Bless the times that have come and are now completed, and get ready for the next big adventure of your life. See yourself already in this new place. Let's call it Cloud 9. It is a place of growth and your highest joy. Rejoice in what is yet to come. How unbelievably bloody perfect is that message. I love it. I love it. Wow. I want to say well done us. I really do. That's just such confirmation from Metatron. And what does it say here? See yourself already in this new place. Let's call it Cloud 9. Wow. I've got a song in my head straight away. Of course I have. Do you know which one it is? You've got to be my sort of age to get my musical references. It's Bryan Adams, Cloud number 9. Okay. I haven't got it to hand, so I can't play it to you, but I'm going to play it when I come off this video. Cloud 9, Bryan Adams, great. Okay, right, I'm going to end this video. I've just got a couple of other bits I wanted to mention. And these are maybe separate from what I've done, okay? The veils are very thin at the moment. the veils between the realms are very, very thin. I went to bed last night and it must have been in my consciousness that the veils were thin without having fully acknowledged how thin they were. Because I seem to remember drifting off thinking, I wonder who might come into my dreams tonight. I don't usually think those type of things when I go to sleep, because usually I'm just so tired I put my head on the pillow and I go to sleep. Anyway, I wake up at like 4 in the morning and I'm having the most amazing dream, and it's an old boss of mine who passed away a few years ago, Peter Cooper, who was the godfather of qualitative research, market research. That's what I used to do for a living, and he taught me a lot. And he was there. I was in a circle with him. There were about 5 other people, and it was like a masterclass. And I was there because I was about to write a book on colour therapy. Well, I'm doing a colour therapy distance course, but it seemed like I was about to write a book. And I was there in front of this man, and you know, he's reputed, he's a master of his craft, and I was learning from him, and it was so real. He was there, you know, he was there. So it confirmed to me, it's like, yeah, wow, the veils are very, very thin between the worlds right now, between the different realms. I'm very conscious that at Christmas time and into New Year, a lot of people pass over. So I really send my love and my strength to anybody that's going through that at the moment. And just know that you're held in love, you know, and you will get through it. Also know that a lot of people pass because there seems to be this comradeship that comes in around this time where they just choose to pass together. There's a lot of people that walk across the Rainbow Bridge and are greeted by an even greater number of people. But those of you that have already lost people you love, or maybe it's just somebody like I had last night. Well, Peter wasn't somebody that I loved, but it was somebody I respected in this life. It's like they're there, and it's like they're waiting to help us with what our tasks are in 2019, whatever that may be. So be aware of that, and you know, ask for help and call them in. So that's the first thing. The veils are very thin. A very quick observation, second point on twin flame, darting between subjects here. Following on from my twin flame video that I did a week or so ago, I've had quite a few emails in about that, and also, you know, processing my own stuff. And it's an odd one, but for some people, there has been a freeing from contracts that have bound people for decades. And the love is still going to be there, but if it is never going to come back into union in this lifetime for whatever reason, let's be honest, my twin flame video ended and I was talking about the fact Gaia's not ready. And it's really easy in a human sort of material mindset to think, okay, well, Gaia's not ready. She probably will be next year. That places us above... sorry, I just got distracted there by an email that came in. That places us as very, very important in terms of timeline of this planet. When we say Gaia's not ready, she might not be ready for another 50 years. She might not be ready for another 200 years. I'm not saying that is the case. I don't actually know. I haven't been given the piece of information. But the point is, time, our little lifespan on this planet of 90 years, 100 years, whatever it is nothing compared to the timescale of Gaia and what her timescale is. So it makes sense to me that if it's going to be a longer ride, let's put it that way, until Gaia is fully ready, and we know we're not meant to be just waiting at the crossroads, we're being told to move on. Some contracts it's not like they've been cut, but you've been freed. And there is just this, well, I just want to say there's freedom there, and there hasn't been freedom for some people for many years, and there really is. That move forward is really real, it's really happening, and it's very, very liberating as well. So some of you will relate to that, some of you won't. Last point I want to make, this is just something I am mulling over. I was writing a response to an email that came in yesterday, and oh, excuse me. So I wrote about I wrote the line and I just said, the truth is closer to home. And it stayed with me. That phrase, the truth is closer to home, seems as though it applies to many, many situations at the moment. Maybe linked into business, maybe linked into love, questions on love. The truth lies closer to home. But it's also about the truth lies closer to home because the truth lies within you. The truth lies within you. Okay, I'm being beeped at, aren't I? So I better get on. I've got a couple of sessions to do today, but I will be back. I definitely am going to do a video linked into the Christ consciousness before Christmas. Don't worry, have not forgotten. That will happen. But I just wanted to sort of say hello and come in with some feedback in terms of how I've been observing the energies, and also I hope it's helped you. Okay, hope it's helped you. Hope it resonates. Much love to you all. Take care of yourselves. It's all good, okay? All of the ups and downs of this crazy old journey are good. But going into next year, having had a sneak peek, it feels very liberating. It feels very freeing. It feels as though the shackles are off and we can really be who we're meant to be on this planet. But it will really help you to have gone through those, you know, or at least the stages I've talked about, seem to be steps. You might be able to, I'm just about to say, can you dodge over any of them? I don't know really. The only one I'm questioning is depression, because not everybody has to go through a depressive episode. That is not what I'm saying. But I do think there's low mood, okay, that comes into this whole process. But don't forget, it's like the sun. Go into low mood, but you always rise back up. But find your tools, find your friends, and find yourself, most importantly. That's what it's all about. Much love. See you soon. Bye for now. Oh, hear that? It's all going to be okay. Bye.